All right, everyone, hello and welcome to this edition of the Elite Golf Podcast. Very special show for you guys today. I'm Jesse Kaufman, head golf pro at the Marriott Golf Club at Champion Circle in Fort Worth. I'm a co-host, the owner, and head golf instructor for Elite Golf Performance. And today we've got a special show live inside Growler USA here in Austin, Texas. If you're in the Austin area, if you're not familiar with Growler, you definitely need to come out. They have over 100 beer on tap. It's a great place, great atmosphere, great staff. And we're drinking water, so we're going to fix that. And we do have a very special guest today. We have Mr. Kelly O'Donnell from the director of golf at Wolf Dancer Golf Club at the Hyatt Lost Pines here in Austin, Texas. We're going to get into his accomplishments, his background as we go. Really looking forward to it, so appreciate you being here today.
Thanks,
sir.
Thanks for having me.
Will you shake my hand?
I will shake yours as well.
I can't believe it. Thank you.
All right, and I know, Matt, you guys, you've worked together for a long time now, so I'm going to kind of let you guys start it off.
We really haven't
That's a
worked
good
together.
start to it.
There you go.
It'd be fun.
All right.
There we go.
Tell the real story now.
No, really the thing I would like to talk about with Kelly is just his background and where he got started and your golf journey. Sorry, no pressure.
No pressure at all. So I thought about this coming over today, so I really wanted to start with something, really dramatic, like, many, many years ago, I was actually born on the greenside bunker at the old course, in the road hole on number 17. I came out of the ground with a Massey Niblick and a Guinness in my other hand.
Here we go.
And then from there,
There?
and then from there I brought, golf into the U.S. at the St. Andrews Club in Yonkers, New York, with six other gentlemen, two named John Reed and Robert Lockhart. So you can Google all this. It is true.
You are triple digits old, right? So it kind of adds
Never
up.
mind. No, but I was born in Fort Worth. Both my parents are ministers. My grandfather was a minister, so that explains a lot about me. And just from an early age, I had the great fortune. My dad's day off, he always spent just going to play golf. I mean, he really liked just getting out. But his idea of a good round of golf was how many golf balls he found. So, it was like I had a great day. I found 48 golf balls. I'm like, Dad, there's more to it than that. Right. Come on. But he really enjoyed his day off doing that. And through my grandfather was a good player. And he was minister here at Hyde Park Christian in town for many years. He was single digit, and two of his members were Harvey and Helen Pennick.
Wow.
So in high school, I thought I knew everything there. I took some lessons from Mr. Pennick back then, and I look back on that and say, I wish I would have taken more of it. I took it so for granted. He was just some old guy who looked at my golf swing. And that was it. But when I got into the golf business, you realize who he was and what he was. But back then, and to this day, from all the people I've talked to that have taken lessons from him, he really didn't say much. He observed what you did. The only thing that stands out from the lessons I got from him in high school was I shanked one, and all he said was, "Do you do that a lot?" And I'm like, "No." And then that was kind of it.
From some of the guys, and of course, you have that. Jess and I were talking about this the other day, but you have the Pennick effect, is what I call it. When you're in Austin, you have the Pennick effect, and they're everywhere. All the students and the success and the what he brought to the game was something that I don't take lightly, and it's just something that you have to respect. But the coolest thing, he was just like the coolest teacher of all time, because of the fact he would just throw a suggestion out there and walk off.
Right.
I mean, he's known for that. I mean, I think if you could go into that a little bit and what your experience was, and he knew how to teach golf for sure, but he would sometimes just say, "Hey, let's just put it on your head and you go figure it out. But here's how you need to think another way," and that's what I've heard from the experience. I never got to take a lesson, so. From the man.
Well, and that speaks highly to, I think, your philosophy and mine as well. And I think a lot of people, and especially when we go play, is you only need one little nugget. You need one little thing to get you going. Yeah. Don't fill me with all these pre-shot stuff and everything else, or I don't have a chance. which we know several instructors who kind of do that. I want to see this, this, and this, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. So, I mean, Mr. Pinnock was just brilliant with his little book, little things, and just kind of bringing in things, household items, like a broom or whatever, and thinking about other things that you did all the time and adopting that into your golf swing, and I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, one of the stories, I believe it was Tom Kite that told me when I was able to work with Kite in his office, I got to work with his son, David, as well, and through Chuck Cook when I was at Barton Creek, and I was doing a lot of biomechanical stuff with Tom at the time. Maybe he was around 56. And he told me he was at first, Tom, he had his guard up, and I don't blame him, it's Tom Kite, but once he loosened up, he was a really funny guy, and he was just really down to earth and really cool, actually. And, but he would tell Harvey stories all the time. And one of the stories he told me was like he got the hooks when he was, I think he was in college, and he had to, back then it was all wound, it's a whole different game back then, you were wound, persimmon and all that stuff. You remember how you have to string those up, and that was a whole thing of its own. But he bent this driver. He had the hooks, and he built this driver. He said, we don't even know, 5, 6, 7 degrees closed, and said, all right, here you go. And he made a real stiff shaft for the driver, and it got to be heavy, back then it was all steel. And he said, I want you to learn how to cut this for about a week, figure out how to cut it. And he goes, I think this guy's lost his mind, He's like, he's got the clubs shut. I'm already hooking it and all this, but he, and then he comes back from a technical side, nowadays especially, you're looking at, it's building lag into your golf swing, which is right fundamental.
Right.
Then, you're having to drag a little bit longer, and then he started hitting so much better and hitting it so much. He said he all he could do is hit it straight. So then when he took his other driver out, his regular driver, he just pounding it down the fairway. He was hitting a lot further and obviously much straighter, and he got out of the hooks, and it was just like, that was it.
It corrected his plane and his path.
And the path, everything, right?
And he probably just gave it to him and walked away.
That was probably about it. Just figure this out,
Oh, my gosh.
But he was, I wish I could have had a lesson with him. The crazy thing, when his book first came out, of course, I was the first one to go to the bookstore and pick it up, the little red book. That was just, it's still incredible.
Right.
I mean, and being that I wasn't from Texas, that to hear the stories in those books now that I live, in Texas, and I've been here a while now, I think over 17 years, those things it's amazing to hear.
You're a Texan now.
Maybe. I consider myself one,
we'll take you in.
But I'm definitely a major fan of the man.
Well,
he is the man.
and you know what I always tell people too, I think one of the greatest attributes to Harvey Pinnock as a teacher, when you look at Tom Kite and you look at Ben Crenshaw, both great careers, completely different swings, completely different philosophies on how they approach golf.
Yep.
And he just let them do their thing. He sent Tom to the range most of the time to work on stuff, and Ben, you go play. I mean, he knew exactly what those guys needed to do, because Ben wasn't a range guy at all.
Nope.
But Tom wanted to get precise and work through his clubs and get to know his numbers. I still today think, from my days working at the Hogan Company, what Tom Kite did, I think should have been adopted more so. In fact, I do it myself in my set of clubs. Thank you very much. So, what I never understood, and all the long irons and their lengths are fine, but their lofts were always 4 degrees.
Yes.
Separation until you got to like the 6, and then 3 degrees, but then when you got to the 6 iron, then it progressed 4 degrees.
Yep.
I never understood the difference in the 3 and the 4 because it's so little.
Yep.
Really, in your distances, they figured in the length and light you were going to get 8 to 12 yards difference in clubs. Well, what I like what Tom did early on when he talked about, he was kind of the first guy on tour who brought that third wedge in. What he did,
4 at one time.
right?
Yeah.
And what he did is he went 5 degrees between every iron, so he eliminated his
That's right.
his 5 iron. So I've done that. So I have a 60, 55, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30.
Yeah.
Makes sense, and I eliminate one long iron, which I only use to go after snakes or get balls out of the woods anyway.
Snakes? You go after snakes?
Well, to get them out of my way. line. 'Cause, you never find any snakes in the fairway.
In the fairway. Yeah.
So I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think too, when from not just a coaching standpoint, then a player standpoint, I think it's the same. Is it's easy to get caught up, and I'm going to have a 58 and a 54 or 52, whatever you want to do, and you have a big difference. But then you say, like, how many pars can you make with your your 3, 4, 5, iron, or birdies, I should say. Whereas when you add in these gaps and you start to narrow those gaps and say, like, you do have a 60, a 55, a 51, or whatever you want to go down to, and you chain that out, you have more options for pars and birdies by far and away than
Correct.
you do. I'd rather give up a 4-iron. That's a popular thing on the tour now, or used to be. I don't know about now, but it used to be like where they'd dump the 4 and they'd have the 3 and the 5 and add in those wedges. So
Sure.
because you can do more with them. You're scoring.
And what's crazy now is with all the distance the guys have, and I used to talk to guys who are better players, and they'll say, I hit that 8-iron 180, and then I'm like, the only thing I ask them is why? Why do you want to hit your 8-iron 180?
Yeah.
Because then you have your 9 wedge and sand wedge for everything 179 and down. That's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, the set of irons is designed so every club is for a specific distance, and it should be no more than 8 to 15 yards at max difference from the other club that you got in your bag. So it makes it harder.
Yeah, I agree. Jesse, what's your thoughts on that
but,
as well?
selfishly, I'd love to hit an air on 180.
Yeah, I
think you can.
I got somewhat caught up in that for a while, where I was hitting a 1-iron or 8-iron about 180, but it created such a gap,
Right, your
such a
gap
huge
there.
problem
You're right.
for the short shots. So yeah, that's exactly right. Now I could care less. I want whatever club goes that distance. That's the club
You
I want to
know
hit.
your numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to use the right tool for the right job. I think is that's
Yeah.
one of the lines I always use, and it could be around the greens, it could be in the fairway. But if you don't have enough, just grab another one. You got 14 of them.
Right.
You run out
Right.
of those, and you're not be in trouble. But
You know,
I
it
only
kind
use
of
12.
oh, come on.
I have 12.
Well, you have 3 putters.
I only need 1 putter. But you need 3 putters.
kind of go back to what you said about the Harvey method of just giving a suggestion and then getting out of the way. You kind of did that to me 6 weeks ago, probably. You kind of changed a few things, and then you kind of disappeared. You didn't tell me you were doing that on purpose, so I'm thinking,
Attaboy.
I'm like, forget this
smart.
guy. Now I'm all jacked up. I don't know what I'm doing, and he's gone. But over a few weeks, I kept just trying to stick with what he said, and everything kind of came together. And I played a few holes last week, and he came out, and he basically told me that's all I wanted to do is just kind of get you in the spots and then get out of the way and let you figure it out. I wish you'd have told me, so I wouldn't have hated you for 3 weeks. But yeah, it really did. It worked well, and I'm happy right now. I'm hitting it better than I have in 2 years probably right now.
Yeah,
so,
he's striping it for sure.
And it was minor adjustments, but minor adjustments in golf can make you think you've lost everything. So.
Yeah, the hard thing with teaching and whether you think you know a lot or whatever that is, but it's easy, and I've done it before. Is to throw the whole book out there, and you realize
wanna help 'em.
you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it
That's
is. You're
the
right.
hardest thing.
And then you go, what I've learned as I've gotten older, I really have, and Chuck Cook really helped me with this as well, because he was from that Harvey lineage, and was just, sometimes you got to let them show what you got. That's fine, but just let them do it, and you can only teach them as fast as they can learn it. And so it's okay for them to fail. They're going to. They're going to fail whether you teach them the whole book or you give them a little bit. But you give them what you want, and then just say, hey, go out there and see what happens. Apply that guide, see how it works, and if it's not working, then. But sometimes you got to let it. With a good player, I think you have to let it sit for a little bit, because if you go try to coach them every day, and really throw everything in there, you can really screw them up.
Right.
And you got to be real careful with that.
It'll make you crazy too.
And make you crazy as
Be
well.
up late at night trying to figure out what did I just do or what do I need to do. And they just need to work on it.
I've told that story a million times where, and people think I'm crazy for it, but it's just who I am and what I do, so I don't really know how to not do it. But, the worst thing I can have is when a student's really struggling. And when a student's really struggling, that's when I stay up at night. And I do. I truly do. It's been a long time since I had to stay up at night going like, did I give them the right information or not? And it has been. It's been a long time. But I remember my whole career. That's what got me to where I feel like I'm at a certain level where it's definitely much easier now.
Right.
But but when I was a kid, I used to kick myself every night. I would not sleep, and it would drive me mad because, not at the student, it would drive me mad at why am I not presenting this the right way, or because I know well, you feel like it's right, but why is this not in? And I think I think a lot of it is that longer you teach, and is you have an open mind to open. There's a lot of people out there that know a lot of different things in different areas, and there's in performance, whether it be golf or whether it could be anything, it could be cars, it could be whatever. But for us, for me, it's golf, and so it took a lot of different people, and it took a long time before I ever really felt like, I go home and truly sleep. That's
Right.
weird, but it's true. So
You should have called me.
I should have. Oh, I tried. You just wouldn't answer.
Oh,
Yep.
I answered.
Not available.
Not available.
Yeah, so let's
Where do
kind
you want to go now?
let's get back
Here
on.
we
You were
go.
kind of giving your
Here we go.
background. Let's kind of get back on that. I think it's
Great.
yeah, it's all about you today.
Where do you want to go now, though? Just ask me a question. Go ahead.
Let's talk about your work. Now you're at Wolf Dancer. They're at the Hyatt Lost Pines. So what year did you take over at Wolf, or what year did you come on board at Wolf Dancer?
The property opened in June 2006,
Okay.
and I came on board in March 2006. I was pretty excited at that time because I've done a lot of things in golf, and from being a sales rep and working in manufacturing, but I always loved being a golf pro, and so when I got married, I had the great opportunity to stay home with my kids, and then my wife said, "Man, you're having way too much fun." After 4 years, she goes, "You need to go out and find a job again." So I found out that the Hyatt was going to open a new property in Austin, and so I went out to the PGA show, which is coming up next week, a couple weeks, and went down there, and all the Texas pros always get together and talk at the end of each day of the show, and then they were all talking about this new Hyatt property coming up east of town. I said, "Man, that would be great way to get back in." And so I went and interviewed and just got the gig. So that worked out great for me. It's a wonderful property. It's still fascinating to me that 13 years in, there's still a lot of people in Austin that don't know where it is, don't know how to find it, never been there, and we're just right outside of town. I live in South Austin, drive there every day.
Yeah.
But you can see finally there's a lot more traffic going out towards Bastrop, and so there is finally going to be some growth that way. But it's a special property. When we had Ben Crenshaw come out last summer, and he did a benefit. He's sponsored by some group that was out there, and he came out, and it's disappointing. He just hit wedges on a par 3, but I stood out there with him and talked to him for a while, and I didn't realize that that property itself was garnered for many years. That UT looked at that like a year before the Hyatt did to put the UT Golf Club there.
I did not know that.
I didn't either until he
Wow.
mentioned that, because originally when Hyatt was looking in Austin, I found out after I'd been there a while, they wanted something closer to Barton, and they wanted something maybe out in Dripping instead. But through LCRA, who became a partner because the Colorado goes right behind the property, and Tiny Leach, who's a long time, she started amateur golf in Austin, in the state of Texas, actually. Tiny was a long-time member at Austin Country Club as well, a great golfer at the time. Part of that land was hers to it, so it worked out great for her because she got many millions for the property, and it worked out great for us. And for those of you who've been out there, the topography of the land is spectacular.
No doubt
And
about
what
it.
they did to it, just the layout of how it is, it's so memorable, it's so much fun, and it's just been a great opportunity for me. I kind of always joke about that. What my job is. I feel like maybe the same thing for you is what we do in golf. It's not really a job. It's a hobby that I really love, and
Absolutely.
I actually get paid to do it. So it's so much fun to be out there. And junior golf is growing. You bring these guys out, and I love having the kids come out there as well because they're the future of the game. And we still take a few old guys out there too.
Yep.
if they
complain.
behave.
Well, that was one of the things when we talked about, when I was, I think I talked to Justin, and we kind of went through each other to, figure out how we could bring elite golf out there and so forth. And you said, hey man, junior golf is really, of course it's all golfers and all that, but we want to develop our junior golf. And
Absolutely.
and I think when people get there, always the first thing, and I always hear is like, I got to drive out here and all this stuff. But then they get out there and they're like in heaven.
Right.
That drive, there's not many drives that I've been on.
No.
When you go through it and when you get through there, it's just
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, but
Yeah.
it's really peaceful. Like when they get there, they're like, they slow down,
Yeah.
and
there's no houses on the course. It's so quiet. It's just you and your pals
Nature.
playing. I mean, it's the way that we know that golf was created to be.
Yep. I mean,
You and your
is.
golf ball, and hopefully you can find it again and again.
Well, there's space in the fairways around the
Right.
greens. You better keep
around
your
the
better
greens
keep your
right now. Yeah, it's
better
pretty
keep your irons under
pretty
control.
brutal.
But it's cool because the deer, there's plenty of deer out there. It's beautiful to, they just, and they're, I don't know, golfer friendly. I would call it. I mean, they'll always stick around. You just get to see nature, and everything slows down out there. And sometimes when you play golf, you might be having a hectic work week, or for
Right,
you
you can be
kids,
stressed, yeah.
you might have a stressful week at school, and and you go onto a golf course that has the same things going on. When you come to the Wolf Dancer, you don't have that. You don't. Everything slows down a little bit, and it just starts to feel right. And you can.
I agree.
And I think that helps people's games as well. I mean, that's a part of it. That gets in the mental side, but when things slow down, I think people play better.
One thing I came out a few weeks ago, and unfortunately it was freezing cold that day, so I didn't get to play much. But you got the fire pit
I would have
there
sold
by
you
the
some
first hole.
apparel so you could have played more.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have. Well, you have the fire pit was going. I saw that there by the first tee, and I could hear. I guess there's a skeet shooting range and axe throwing. I mean, it's just
It's
so
not
many.
my favorite thing, but
it's a wonderful. I've been to a lot of golf properties. I've never been to anything with that
Right.
much variation. I guess so many different things that you could do, outdoor activities.
Yeah, where
It's
else
really
do
neat.
you have axe throwing on the teaching tee?
Yeah,
I love that though. That's
And
my
I guess-
problem. there's something wrong with me, but I love that.
I guess there's
I signed up for a class.
a lazy river that's a mile long that goes.
Yeah, a million gallons
there.
running through there, and you see quite a lot of it by the 15th tee when you get down to the river bottom, and as it gets hot around here, well, anywhere in
Right.
Texas, but in July and August, and you go by there, you can't even see the water. It's just bodies because they're just people
Wow.
coming through there,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them. So in July and August, operationally, and you may be thinking this too, it's becoming more and more like Scottsdale, Arizona, that in the late summer, we even closed the course at 3 o'clock several days because nobody in their right mind wants to play
Right.
out there. And
Right.
Yeah.
And even if I paid them to play, they're not going to play.
Sure.
So it's become a 7 a.m. to 10:30,
Yep.
and then we're kind of done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just moved to Texas from Missouri, so I'm just learning that part of it. I mean, you're
gonna learn fast.
You've got to get people out early because
Yeah.
middle of the day is not
Wish
the
we
right
could
time.
go a little earlier, give them little lanterns put on their head, and they can go out there in the dark and go play. Whatever they want to do.
Yeah, so you mentioned you would sell me merchandise to battle the cold weather. So let's get into that
Here
a
we
little
go.
bit. I know merchandising
fault.
is a big, it's been a big success of yours. You've won PGA Merchandiser of the Year.
In 2016,
in
yeah, that was
2016.
fun.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think I have a lot of peers in golf, and you just kind of find your alley you like to go in. So a lot of people specifically love to teach, and a lot of people really like the operations, like the management side of things, and then you've got some people that like to do retail
Right.
as well. And I've always thought that a big part of what a golfer wants, especially if he plays well, he wants some kind of memento of coming there. And so every golf course has that opportunity if you have the right golf course. If you have a premier golf course, or even if you really don't, if you've got great hospitality, if you're giving the golfer what he wants, if he has a great experience, he's going to want to take a token from your shop to remember that by. And so, but I've got a lot of pro friends that said, man, I don't get the shirt deal, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, you're just leaving dollars on the ground. I mean, you got great. I mean, if you're going to sell them a beer, why can't you sell them a shirt at the end of the day? I mean, and it's really easy. But I talk to a lot of my peers all the time. They go, how do you do it? I'm like, well, first thing you do is you get out of your office and you go out there and you talk to them and you greet them. And I always check out. Even when you guys come in today, I check you out head to toe. I see what you're wearing. I know what you're wearing. So I check out everybody coming in, from their golf shoes all the way up, and I'll go out when they're getting ready to go play, and they may not even notice, but I'm pulling their irons out. I'm looking at their grips. I mean, I just learned that from all the guys I grew up learning from, those golf pros. And so it's because that's my job. A lot of the guys, before you even get them on the range, they're playing lousy. Well, your grips are coming off in your hands. I mean, you have no chance to learn anything with Matt or anybody else, because we got to get those things changed. Or a lot of them will say, "Hey, my handles aren't working." Your handles?
Yeah.
You mean your grips?
Yeah, those things.
But just because I think of where we are, and we've had the ability that most of the people that come out and play Wolf Dancer, probably the majority, because they stay at the hotel, are members at other private clubs. So since we've opened there, I always tried to find new lines, different lines that not a lot of other places would necessarily carry.
Right.
So when they come in there and say, oh man, I've never seen that before. So that's just an opportunity that they're going to buy it from you because they haven't seen it anywhere else. Right. So that's always worked out very well, and I've won Section Merchandiser of the Year, within our little South Texas section, because there's 41 sections in the PGA in America. And then I won when I was up in North Texas a couple times as well. And then, they'll nominate you at a section level to be nominated for the national award. And so we were, it's kind of a funny story. We were nominated in 2014. So I really thought that was going to be the year we were going to win. And, so we didn't get the call. So I was like, doggone it. Because you kind of feel like you can count on that. So then 2016 rolls around, and you really have to turn in your pack, and it's like a master's thesis. It's like 30, 40 pages, your philosophy, photography, everything else, who influenced you, your margins, your ratios, everything else you got to do. So typically when you send in your packet, they say, you don't ever get it back, because I always say, well, why can't I get it back? It was pretty good. So I got a call from the lady who's kind of in charge of all that, and she wrote me a note. After we didn't do anything in 14, she goes, this was really good. You should consider keeping it. And I was like, oh, okay. So 2016 rolls around. The section wants to nominate us again, and I'm like, okay. But at the same time, he's back now. Jason Boydston, our head pro and tournament director, and I've been pushing him. Onion Creek opened up, so he wanted to take the head pro job at Onion Creek, which I always thought was great, but he left the end of March. Nothing happens in golf around here in March.
No.
So I had to do all the tournament work, and I had a hard time finding anybody else to replace him. So I'm doing my stuff with the hotel. Then I'm also doing all the tournament stuff as well. And then Jennifer, our merchandiser, who helps me put everything together, she had gone out of town too. And so I was just busy, and I worked 45 days straight during that time, which again is golf, so
that's golf.
It doesn't really matter. And then right in the middle of that, one Sunday afternoon, I was starting a Texas State event, collegiate event. They had like 12 teams, and I'm going down the stairs, and it felt like my whole right foot just came off my leg. I blew out I thought it was my Achilles, but I blew out my plantar fascia, and I called my foot doctor, because I did that to my left foot like 3 years prior and had to have surgery. And I called him because I couldn't even walk, and I said a lot of words that aren't really good for anybody here, not in the middle of those collegiate boys, but the coach said, oh, you're fine. But I blew it out, and I called him because I've got him on my mobile phone. It was a Sunday, And he goes, man, that's great news, because I was going to tell you you're going to have surgery on that as well. I'm like, okay. So I was in a boot. I'm in a boot. I'm worn out, everything else. And I get a call, and they say, hey, don't forget to turn in your packet to win the Merchandise of the Year. And I'm like, seriously? Okay. So I blew through everything I had, basically changed 2014 to 2016 on all of it, shoved it in the mail, said, forget it, we're done. And then a month later, the president of the PGA calls me, says, congratulations. And I'm like, you can't be serious. You guys won. So very fortunate, very lucky, because, I've had friends that are, at resorts in California, North, Florida, that are up for that again from their section, and they go, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't really know. I think it's just really luck of the draw, because I know they move all those awards regionally around. So I kind of felt like, that's why I felt like 2014, nobody, no one had won that award in Texas since the early 90s.
Wow.
So I kind of felt like it was time, but then we won. It was great. And 2016 was the 100th year anniversary of the PGA, so that was memorable. The award night, and it was a surreal week. They did it at, thank goodness, it was a Hyatt property, and it was in the Grand Central Station Hyatt. It was in New York City, 2016. Everybody remember that year, that week, that night? It was election night.
Wow.
Wow.
So, it was a crazy week. It was the
crazy.
New York City Marathon, same time, and then our little award deal, and then it was election night the same night. So it was just a crazy week.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Just know I was at Lake Cliff at the time, and I saw my buddy Kelly on there on TV, and I usually, and it's not bad, but I don't. I don't spend all my days and nights watching the Golf Channel, like I did when I was a kid. It's different now. But, you do your job, and I do things that make me better and all those things when I go home. But the one thing was that's not something which is normal. And this wasn't at night. Actually, it was during the day. And I was just I was in the, I guess it was wasn't the pro shop. It was in the lounge area or whatever, having some lunch with the guys. And I turned it on, and boom, there you go. And I went,
Friday morning of the show.
This is awesome.
It's one of those nice show. Yeah, it was fun, and like with all those kind of things that are so surreal. I don't remember any of it. It's just kind of you up on the stage, they're talking to you, and then you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
What just happened?
And it is a huge deal, because, and he can't, it's not his job to say that it's a huge deal, but it is. You got to look at it. How many pro shops do you know just in Austin? And how many do you know that are in, just the state? And then now you've got, here we go. We've got all the states. And
well, I still look back on that and still
number
don't
one.
believe it happened.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is kind of crazy, but it's been a lot of fun. But a lot of work came out of that too. I still they just emailed me yesterday. They want another article on what we think are the best lines right now, and they want more photography of the shop, which is great to keep us going out there. Keep us relevant, keep us out there.
Yeah.
I think too, when I go to to Wolf Dancer, one of the things I always go in the shop, because obviously him, but because
we want you to check in too. We want to know you're there.
Oh no, they don't want to know that.
Yeah, we do. We want to know you're there.
But I sneak in there whenever he's not around, and I look at the shop. Yeah, you're out practicing.
Wait a minute. Oh,
So,
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I go in there and I'll check it out, and it's always gear that I've never seen. So it's like when I'll see shirts that I haven't. Like, what's this brand? Like you hooked me up with a shirt last time I was there, and a hat too. But but there you have the stuff that is like your normal,
right?
And then you have the stuff that is like, that's pretty cool. But he has stuff,
And that's what I noticed. Of course.
Oh boy, don't scare us here.
Kikuyu
Oh, that
grass.
is. No, it's bent, right?
QED, yeah.
I thought that was a bent grass.
This isn't bent.
Oh, that's not the bent.
No.
Oh, well, it's not POA.
And
It's not POA.
That's one thing. When I went to the property, I knew you had won this award. So of course, as someone trying to do the same thing, not win the award, but put together a successful shop, I'm trying to steal ideas, and that's what I noticed. You had the regular brands, but you had a lot of unique brands, but you also accessorize things really well. When you look on the displays, you've got packages, you've got collections put together, and you see it all together, and it makes you, I don't just want that shirt. I like the way it looks with that vest, those shoes, that belt.
Exactly.
And you do a really good job at that, obviously. So.
Because, a lot of people, if they don't have to think about it, they can see it right there and say, I want that. Mm-hmm. And that makes the sales so much easier, too.
Yep.
One of the things, too, with Jesse as well, I mean, he loves, I think, one, he's really good at merchandising, but also tournaments, running tournaments, and I know you do the same. But Jesse, I tell you what, as many people that I've been around in this industry, I don't know of anybody that loves to run tournaments more than this guy. And you just have
They're fun.
Just stuff fun.
Yeah.
And I know you do, too. I know you enjoy
fun.
that as well.
Yeah, I think the key, I mean, most tournaments, people are there to have fun. They're not there trying to make it on tour. You have those tournaments, but just trying to add anything extra I can to make it more fun for the people, more energy, more excitement. That's, without a doubt, that's my favorite part of the job. And we just ripped our pro shop apart this past week. I worked 100 hours this week scraping carpet glue off the floor so we put new carpet in. But we've completely, you guys that came down, it's that entire building's different. So it's something I've been looking forward to. We when I came on the property, it was in the plans of, once you get here, we want to kind of redo the whole thing. So I'm in that phase, and we finally got the pro shop done last week, and I'm going to come in Monday and really work on the merchandising and get everything set out. But I'm not going to lie, I stole some ideas from you when we were roof dancers, so I appreciate that.
I take cash or check.
Yeah, it's in the mail. I didn't know I was going to see you today. So.
You take pennies?
Are those still relevant?
Yeah,
I think
they are actually.
And they're good ball markers still, I think.
Yep, they are. They actually really are.
So you're going to the PGA Merchandise Show next week.
Oh, boy.
You said I'm headed down there as well. I'm taking Robbie with me to keep me out of trouble, or vice versa. So how many times do you think you've been to the PGA Merchandise Show?
Oh, my God.
Since 1934.
It's not.
You need a bottle of Tylenol.
It's not far from there. So when I was, probably mid-'80s was my first one.
Okay.
And that was really cool. When I worked for the Hogan Company, late 80s, early 90s, part of my responsibility was the PGA show.
Right.
Designing the booth, which was really cool. We also did, back then when the show was so different now than it was then, back then you're very profitable selling golf equipment.
Yeah.
So we always had our sales meeting on the front end of the show, so we'd have all the sales guys there. So I booked all the rooms, the hotel for the week, and do the show as well. Went down there with the booth, did the whole deal. And so one year, I'm still mad at him about this, our president thought it'd be a great idea to approach Mr. Hogan and take all his trophies down there and have them in the booth for a week. And I was like, you've got to be joking. So I was thinking, no, Mr. Hogan, I know he's going to say no. I know he's going to say no. And he said yes.
Wow.
Pressure.
So a friend of mine and I, we drove, because this is still during the time of the Ben Hogan tour. We drove Mr. Hogan's trophies and, the Hickok belt, which is the professional athlete of the year, which had rubies and emeralds in the gold belt itself. We drove that down there. I had to get a guard 24 hours a day in the booth.
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
That
but we
cool.
had a lot of people come look at that, but I've never been so nervous in my whole life because, all the open trophies that he had and everything else, his medals, I was like, you've got to
Had four U.S. Opens.
Right, yeah, you got to be kidding me. Should have had 5.
Yes,
That's a whole other story.
No, it is.
But so that was crazy, and I still think, because, I came on after being an assistant pro at Mira Vista, 28 years of age, basically know how to get the golf ball and around in the hole and go and interview and get the product manager job where I'm in charge of Hogan golf clubs and golf balls, forecasting sales for $42 million. And they just kind of throw it on you, and you just kind of do that. When I look back on that, I said, those people were not knowing what they were doing, leaving me in charge of that. But it was such a great experience. I mean, still to this day, because I'm doing it now, I always loved being a golf pro, but by golly, that was a great job. I mean, seeing Mr. Hogan during the week, which still this day scares the crap out of me, going back to see him. I mean, I still go back in his office, and to me it felt like, going back there to see the Pope, the hairs on my arms would stand up.
I'm getting
just
nervous.
Seeing him. Oh yeah, I was, but just working for the man, just the pride he had, in his name and who he was and the equipment he produced, it was great to be a part of that. So yeah, my first show was in '86 probably.
Okay.
I haven't gone every year.
Yeah.
But that's a long time ago.
So what are the main?
And for being somebody who's 35, that's pretty good, right?
That's you went when you were. Yeah.
Boy, your math is not very good.
It's not good at all.
You went the year
That's
you
why
were
I shot
born.
all those low scores because my math was terrible.
Yeah, you got a lot of racers over there.
So what are the main changes you've seen with that show? I know I guess the first one I went to was in 2010, somewhere in there. And I've seen a lot of change even in the last decade.
Well, it's gone a lot of up and downs through the years because you had a lot of the major players in golf that just declined to go because they kind of saw it transformed like into even the early 2000s. It was still a hard-working show where these companies wrote a lot of business for their spring or fall, and it got to be more so, and it is for us now that we kind of go out and try to find new vendors. So that's kind of where a lot of the big players are still there. Callaway's there, but it's more great to see you because basically everybody's ordered already, and now they've got one end of it because it's huge. It's 3.5 miles end to end of golf, but now on one end, since TaylorMade Adidas is no longer there, this shows you how big their booth was. They've got paddleball and other racket sports in there, which they started last year. And so they've got some kind of paddleboard tournament the whole week.
Oh my
so you can
gosh.
go over there, have a little beer, and go watch them play that during the PGA Golf Show.
I did
Paddleball
not
with
go
TaylorMade
last
clubs.
year. I didn't know TaylorMade was not there anymore.
Yeah, they're not there anymore.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Because it's the Reed Convention Services and, of course, Orlando, the convention, they make a lot of money off that shit. Yeah. I mean, back when we were there, 80s to 90s, just for the Hogan Company, because I remember we'd write probably $400,000 check at the end just to be there, and that's with the sales meeting and the rooms and everything else. But we wrote $2.5 million in orders, so it was worth being there. But that has completely changed. I mean, it's mainly apparel. Like I see it in our shop. I carry Callaway because we're Callaway staff, but mainly just demos because my clientele, we don't sell golf clubs anymore.
Right.
Which is sad because I love golf clubs. I love everything about that.
Yeah.
But we just can't compete.
Sure.
And I still wonder, kind of like all the cars on the market, where do used cars go? Where do used golf clubs go? I mean, where do they go? They go somewhere, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
It's a lot of floating.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
You bet.
5 cents in my storage unit.
All right. Yeah.
Well, we know where 5 are.
I'm going over to Callaway Pre-Owned, which is in Austin. Everything gets sent there. Going to Callaway Pre-Owned this week, just to talk to them, and I talked to Seth Aikman, who's in charge of all that, and he says it just keeps growing, their warehouse, and I'm like,
I can't even imagine.
I mean, it's to the point of they can't even write off a lot of that. What do you do?
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
Because I keep looking at, we get all these demo 7-irons and all the shafts, and I was looking at them the other day. I said, there's got to be some way creatively we can do something with these, but we don't. We just put them in the trash, or we give a lot of our stuff to the first tee.
Sure.
Yeah,
But I'm sure Jennifer and them have a bunch
they're
of stuff
stacked
already that they're kind of like, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took a big shipment of clubs to the first tee about a month ago, and I could tell when I pulled over, the guy was like,
Seriously?
thanks. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, what our customers don't know is, it's really hard to wear out titanium. So that titanium driver's still probably going to be pretty good, but you really need this new one because you're going to get another 7 to 15 yards out of them. Like,
It was like the guy that came into the golf shop about, the early 2000s. I used to work in a pro golf way back, and I was teaching it. And it was funny. This guy came in there, and it was this random customer, and he was actually hilarious. He goes, so the way I figure it, the last 20 years, every Golf Digest says I should add 7 to 10 yards. So I should be over 140 yards or whatever normally.
right.
I hit it 200. I should hit it 340 yards right now
He
because
was
every
on
7 to 10
73
yards.
years
He goes,
old.
here we go. And I thought that was one of the funniest one-liners I ever heard in my whole life. But it was
true.
true. It's true. Like gain 10 yards, which really maybe, but not every year.
But don't you owe Golf Digest a lot because you've had to correct a lot of people?
Oh,
who
they're my
read all
favorite.
the
They're my
tips.
heroes. Golf Channel is too.
Right.
I was like, they're my best
if you
friends
just
are.
get here-
Yeah, my best friend in life is Golf Digest and the Golf Channel, and it's one because they promote golf. I mean, you got to look at it from that, but but in reality, there is because these guys. You know, and it's girls too. They go out and they put one swing tip after one swing tip after one, and they're just throwing stuff out there, and it's just see what sticks on the wall.
Mhm.
And you know, it doesn't work like that, and never will work like that. And YouTube's helped a lot. YouTube's helped me a lot just by putting stuff out there, but also even with our stuff, I've told people, they go, well, what YouTube video should I watch when I'm training with you? And I'm like, you don't need to watch any video. I mean, you need if I give it to you
Correct.
hands on. That's what you need to be doing. And then if I see
Correct.
something, I might throw you one. But that's just, you know, all those things help us. You know, and you know that as well as anybody.
Yeah.
But they're still promoting golf, and so I mean, it's not like it's not a knock to any of them because anybody who promotes golf is my friend, just like and plays golf, like Harvey said.
That's right.
Anybody who plays golf is my
Play
friend.
golf, you're my friend.
You promote golf, you're my friend. Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we want to take questions from you guys. If you
Yes.
guys have any questions, no matter what, I don't care what it is, golf industry, the properties, instruction, anything, ask away.
In relation to the merchandise, it's just a different, it's an experience. Back in September, I was in Oregon, and I'm with one of my coworkers on Friday, and I told him, hey, we should go play Bandon Dunes tomorrow. You know, we're here, might as well, right?
Yeah, you're right there.
He's like, I don't know if I want to pay $350 for, you know, golf around. He's like, my game is really off right now. I was like, yeah, let's just go. It's you know, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. We went over there. I think more than sales, more than the merchandise, the treatment you receive in the clubhouse, and I've been to Wolf Dancer many times, always excellent. When you go into a clubhouse that you've never been before, you immediately can feel if you've been welcome or not.
Right.
And we walk in there, and Jerry spent over $500 on merchandise before we even teed off. And he played one of the best runs he ever played. He spent another $200 when we came back to the clubhouse. Because the people there were so happy we were there. Yeah. And it was quite the experience. And I was listening to Kelly talk about how he's looking at the people, and you want to feel that welcoming feel.
Right.
I've taken my daughters and my wife to Wolf Dancer and kind of just say hi at the Lazy River, they love the shuffleboard, and the food is excellent. But more than anything, the part that I remember, and I go there about once or twice a year, is the treatment. The clubhouse is beautiful, it really is. Everything's great, but the treatment is top notch.
Right.
It started with the clubhouse, and then the guy on the first tee, he's excited that you're there. You got the drinks right there, you can buy right there on the first tee.
Yeah.
It's really good, so congrats.
Thank you.
Really good.
Yeah, thank you.
I think all of us here probably feel the same way. Sometimes you go to a golf course that is a lot cheaper, and they're not even excited you're there.
Right.
You know, and you can feel that. You can, as a customer, you can feel that right away.
I agree.
I think one thing too, and I joke with Jesse a lot with this, and even Robbie's heard me say it. I was like, one thing about Kelly is he loves music, and so when you're out there, he's got these. You know, when you're at Wolf Dancer, and it typically it's it depends on probably the time of year. You know more about it than I will, but he loves to have that music on the driving range.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. When we're out there, like customers will go like, this is awesome. We got music going all day. A lot of times it's
a
just
game.
Texas
You
country.
wanna have
It's
fun.
just
You wanna
cool,
relax,
laid back.
yeah.
It's relaxing too.
Yeah.
And when I'm teaching, truthfully, I love it.
Yeah.
It's not not overbearing. It's loud enough where you can definitely hear it, but it's like it's kind of. And I know when you don't have it, you were like you were working on the sound system. I think it was first of the year. I don't remember what it was.
It's still
last
not,
year.
It's still not great. I'm down 2 speakers right now.
You were there. Sorry though.
I'm down to
But-
1.
So I know you're depressed over that, but
Well,
he's like,
the
I got to
ants
get
have
this.
chewed through the wire, and they're outside, so it's just going to happen.
Yeah, he's like, I got to get this music up, and when it is a experience for.
Because it's not all golf.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And when you're playing too, when customers like my customers in particular out there and they're taking lessons, the best thing I can ever have them to do in the world is relax. I mean, because they're not. They're scared of me. They're scared of this. They're scared of making mistakes and all these things. So when they hear the music, it just softens their. Nobody's too much here, and I know Jesse's really into Jesse when he does a tournament. Man, it's unbelievable. If you can ever go to one of his tournaments that he throws on, he'll put the music out there and just blast it when they're taking off. And these people think they're in Rocky. You know, they're fired up, ready to play golf and go. And it's really cool. Something about music, right?
It's walk-up music.
It's walk-up music.
Yeah, you got theme
that's
music.
right, there you go. That's walk-up music.
Well, I don't know, but you know,
He does the walk-up
when we
music.
send out all the people in our group events, we always play the Caddyshack song when they're leaving. I love that.
Yeah, we're getting ready for a big St. Patrick's
And
Day.
then we go to the register and ring up everybody. That's my favorite part.
Right.
Caddyshack, go ring it up.
We're doing a big St. Patrick's Day tournament. I'm going to do the shipping off to Boston, that real hard Irish. I mean, everybody's ready to fight by the time they get to the tee. That's where I go. I want energy. So,
Hey, I got a question.
okay.
Can you quantify the percentage of sales in your merchandising that are people who come in and buy things because you've got the newest thing or the latest thing, or it's branded with your, or is it people who forget things like I forgot a shirt, or I forgot shoes, or I need a set of gloves when they get out there?
Well, I know, and I love golf shoes, but I know specifically in golf shoes, we only sell golf shoes if they forgot them, truly, and I wish we could carry more than that. But more so than not, it's, oh man, you have this brand, almost to a point. We have, and I have to thank GM. I had 2 GMs ago. He was from Maui, and he goes, "Do you know Olakai sandals and shoes?" I said, "No." And we looked them up, and we got them in there, and I couldn't believe. You get lucky. It has such a cult following, and I love them too. But I've had 2 different people come in there and buy over a dozen pair each because they're like, "I love these. You got them," and I get them for my friends. So I just pay attention to that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff is just crazy. And just thinking about that as well. And you just gotta try different things. For many years, we just couldn't sell any of the ladies' lines at all. Well, I said, well, we have it in the back. I mean, the guys are always going to find their stuff. So last year we started moving all the ladies' lines up to the counter, and now it sells. So you just never know.
Now, one of the things I hate the most when I go into any kind of golf apparel store is that the ladies is always in the back.
Right.
Back in the corner.
Right. Exactly.
And it's always way smaller.
And I don't do it much anymore, but even at the private clubs wherever I worked before, it's just kind of like that birthday present Christmas deal. I used to bring out a box just with clothes in it, and they weren't even really new. And when people come in, I'd start, they're curious. What is that? What do you got? And I'll bring it out and say, oh, you got to have this. And they buy right out of the box because it's like, nobody else has this yet? As far as you know, they don't. So it's just fun to do stuff like that. I haven't done that in a long time. But
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question?
You did.
Do you have one?
You have one?
Music thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's
All right.
really common whenever I go there to practice because like at balconies and just hitting wedges and 20 feet away there's a highway playing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like completely different
Yeah.
environment to practice in. That's just
Well, thank you. Yeah, through all the years we've been there, we just had one guy who said, God, that music, I can't work on my game out there at all. But most everybody loves it, and they remember that too.
He had more problems than the music. I think.
Yeah, I would
I'm
say.
guessing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he did too.
If the drive didn't do it, then something's wrong.
Right.
Right.
I'd have to say, as an Austin, I live here the past 11 years. I don't make it out to Wolf Dancer, but maybe once a year. Every time I go, I get a T-shirt or a golf shirt.
Yeah.
Every time I go, so and I think for me, it's because you have the unique stuff, the link sole,
Mhm.
and all the stuff that are mostly online brands.
Right.
But it's nice to see them displayed in the store, and then
Yeah.
you go, okay, you can see how it fit, and
Well,
you can get like an Adidas shirt.
right.
For
Yeah,
anywhere,
anywhere,
or
yeah.
any of those kind of stuff. But those ones they got really cool, unique designs.
That's your
and fits.
Yeah.
QED.
And so I always end up getting one every time I go.
Well, and as a retailer, I kind of changed my philosophy with all that as well. As I used to, earlier on, I used to get disappointed when you'd hear like, oh, they're carrying it in this store or they can find it somewhere else. But then I started recognizing, because the number one seller in our shop is Under Armour. Well, you can get Under Armour in Academy. You can get Under Armour basically everywhere. But that Under Armour guy or girl knows the fit, loves the fit, and is loyal to that brand. And so they're buying it from us as well. So I completely changed how I thought about that. And it's the same thing with online, although I've had to reach out to Travis and Link Soul because there's been several times that some of the stuff we just got in, I'll go online and they've got it on sale already.
Yeah, my favorite's what's it, QED? That's the shirt you have on,
The
right?
one I have on now, QED.
I love that. That's my favorite one
Yeah.
right now on shirts. I mean,
And
it's
it's
unique.
unusual too because Mike, his dad's a commercial photographer, so yeah, he did a high resolution photo of different grasses, and this year he's coming out with water and sand
Oh,
as well
wow.
on the golf course. A lot. I don't think this one is, but a lot of his buttons are the tops of golf tees. So I think that's clever and different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
But
it's really unbelievable what that
But
brand's
in the current climate, this, Jesse, is that we see, and I like bringing in the newer lines, but more and more, the retail pie is not bigger. So you're biting it, but how do you play with Nike and Adidas and Under Armour? But somehow, and it's through Instagram and online, they're playing, they're doing well. I mean, but I guarantee you, when we go to the show, there'll be 5 new lines of somebody out there in clothing, whether it's men or women, and we'll go, we'll give it a try. Why not?
And really,
There you go.
to get a local guy to buy a shirt or a golf shirt with a Wolf Dancer logo from a local golf shop, I mean, that's, as a merchandiser, that's what you want.
Right.
'Cause
That's
then
exactly what
people
you
from
want.
out of town are going to do it anyway,
Right.
right? Like you're saying, they want
Right.
momentum.
And
If
locally.
you get a local person to do
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
like me, that's
Thank you.
Even more so,
Thank you very much.
if you get the members to buy the clothes, that's really,
Right.
I don't know what percentage of the sales are members, but I would think it's below 40%, I would think.
I wish it was that, yeah.
Yeah. it's
Well,
probably-
and we give them a nice discount, but a lot of them still,
Well,
maybe once a year.
I'm a member at Twin Creeks, and whenever they bring, the truth is, I used to be on the Armor Drive because the colors really falls through. You can
Sure.
wear it. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really fall.
Indestructible,
I
yeah.
like some bright shirts, and they super bright 5 years later. But now they're bringing a lot of Travis Matthew, just because the fit of Travis Matthew, I don't know what to do. The fit is really good, whether you're skinny or big bone.
Yeah.
It holds pretty well to Travis
Right.
Matthew, and they bring in some polos that I don't see anywhere else. And as a member, I'm super buying them at my club.
Right.
Even though I'd rather spend my money when I go visit other clubs.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And I just want to say too that Wolf Dancer, the job you do out there, it's one of the best, if not one of the best. To me, I think it's probably the best place to play in Austin. We don't get the same variety of courses
Right.
that they have in Houston and Dallas. Like you got so many courses to choose from. Austin, if you're playing public golf,
That's right.
I mean, you
That's
got
true.
the unis, you got the Avery Ranches and all that, but it gets tired after a while. So the Wolf Dancer is one of those, to me, it's one of those golf courses because of the variety. You get the elevation change, and you get kind of the flat traditional golf course
Right,
down
it's-
by the river.
Yeah.
You just never get tired of playing it. It's always in great shape.
Well, and I
Just
would,
love what you guys do.
and well, thank you. And I kind of joke that if we didn't have like the last 6 soften up at the end, I don't think anybody would play it more than once. Because
Go down to the base.
Because the front 9 is just brutal. It can be.
Yeah, can be.
Yeah, it is.
It
but-
can be.
And I used to actually caddy out there back in 06.
Oh, sure, yeah. When we had 4 caddies, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that. And for the caddy tournament, don't play the back 9 first, because that's what they had to do.
Yeah.
So I came off the back 9,
Oh.
I'm under, I was like, yeah. Nice, 7 over on the front.
Oh, yeah. But for all we were talking about a little bit earlier, for all the collegiate events and the high school events we've had there, it shows up. The front 9 is easily 3 to 5 shots
Yes.
harder than the back. And then through a lot of the live scoring, I get all the data from that. And as it turns out, the hardest holes of Wolf Dancer are 1 through 6.
Absolutely.
So I joke with my super all the time, but it'd take too long to prep it. That on Saturdays we need to start on 10. Because, when we get all the resort guests and everything else, it's just, and it shows, it's 2.5, almost 3 hours for them to play the front, and then it's 1.5 to 2 for the back.
There you go.
But you can see if you've been out there, we've had all that native grass, and we've mowed down a lot of it in areas because there's not much else we can do to help the pace of play. Yeah, we've done what we can to soften it, but until we get a bulldozer out and fix some of those greens, we can't do anything else.
Yeah, there's a couple of spots on the second green.
Oh yeah.
You betcha.
If you're on top of the flag,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you want to stay below.
Well, this time of year when everything's basically dormant, but we paint it so it looks like it's not dormant. It's pretty silly on the front. I mean, we had some complaints even on hole 1. If it's on the front,
Oh yeah.
it just goes
There's the
hard
base.
left and it's gone into the junk. So but it's golf. It's fun.
Anybody have any other questions? All right. So one thing maybe since we got some of the juniors here is talk about junior golf. I know the STPGA. I love the STPGA here. I think it's awesome. But if you want to talk about junior development, and I know you've had an impact in that as well, but I think we all try to have an impact in that at some point. But
Well, I'm kind of on the fence on that.
go with what you got, man.
Because, we try to be the home for Bastrop High School and Cedar Creek, which is right across the street. But I just wish we could do more. I wish we could do,
Yep.
the golf leagues, but I just can't. We're not able to get any participation from the community for that enough. Yep. I like that, the golf course, Cedar Creek, they're getting better. He's got a couple of good kids. I'm proud of one of the kids has got some scholarship offers because they haven't had that before.
Yeah.
And, we help them, order their product, their uniforms and everything else. But, just golf has been really dormant, I guess, since the state park closed and
Yep.
with the unknown with Cola Vista and Pine Forest. So we've tried to take that on where we can, but, we still have even though more and more of the community knows that, and you may run into this as well, Jesse, is that a lot of people still don't know, speak back to not knowing where we are, but a lot of people think because of our association with the hotel that they can't play there. We're a
Yep.
public golf course. I welcome anybody who loves golf, please come play there, but they just figure we're a resort like Barton Creek, which you can't play, and like Horseshoe Bay you can't play, but we are. We're a public golf course. And y'all been on our range. Our range is ridiculously good, and there's
Yep.
nobody out there ever using it.
No. There's
So much
not like
so
you
that
would
we've
think.
had gladiator workout camps out there on the tees, and we've done kickball tournaments with groups and everything else.
You got skeet on the back now. It's
and
no big deal.
skeet shooting and axe throwing and everything else because it's just
My favorite.
And we do weddings out there too. But gosh, every year I'm thinking, Austin's moving out here. We're going to get a growing community. I'm going to get more juniors out here, but we just haven't seen enough. But all the kids that are out there, they're so gracious. They want to learn the game and they want to learn more. And like what I've talked to them about, before we start today, is that if you get comfortable and play Wolf Dancer, there's not any golf course that you can't play.
Okay.
You get to where you can play good golf there. You can play anywhere.
Okay, what's the slope from the blues to the west?
Great. I don't have my scorecard with me.
I'm sure it travels really well.
Well, see, we don't even, it's been so hard that, 4 years ago I took all the back tees out. They're not even back tees there anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because we'd have these guys
You want to?
on Saturday morning want to go back there, and then it's just a disaster. So
6 hours.
I know the back was we're like 141 on the back, so I think we're 137. Even the blue tees at 6,900, where we do the high school boys from, it's all you want in certain spots. Just the way the other thing tricky about the place is the wind. Oh, thank you.
Technology.
There we go.
Technology.
There you go.
Data. We're 73.8, 135.
How'd you know that?
I should have done that sneaky so you don't look like a
Yeah.
genius.
I would have gone, yeah. No, but even from, even when, because our starter, he encourages everybody unless you've got some kind of credential in single digit to play from the whites. And even at 6,400, with a lot of the turning points, you hit into trouble as easy as anything else. So it always, it cracks me up. But the first 3 or 4 years we were open, even par was course record, and Omar Uresti had it. So that speaks to how challenging it's been. Since then, he's shot 65.
I'm going to get Prav to come up. He won the tournament there.
Yeah.
Or of course, in Twin Creeks, travels really well too. So
Yeah, Twin Creeks. I love Twin Creeks.
Yeah, Twin's awesome.
yeah, we've been to Scottsdale and Pinehurst, and I score better when I'm traveling to courses I never played before
Yeah.
than I do at our home course.
Yeah.
That's the roughest course in town.
Yeah, you got to be.
But
you have
I
your A game.
think hats off the designers, and I think it's brilliant to take a valley like that and figure out we can put a golf course down there.
And make it work.
Yeah.
And they made it work for sure.
And Matt and I have talked about this a lot. A course like that as a home course is the best thing you can do because we've had been in a lot of courses that the members there, they get really good. They learn that course, but you take them somewhere else, they shoot 75 at home. They can't break 90 on a different golf course, and so the reverse. What you're talking about is by far it'll make you a much better player.
Yeah, that's when we had, I believe it was Wesley on last not webinar, but the episode that we had with the podcast. One of the things we talked about is traveling golf. He and I talk about it all the time. It's like you've got and
Right.
If your game doesn't travel, it's all right if you're an amateur. If you're a professional and you're trying to be one, you're a college player and you're trying to become a professional golfer, and your game doesn't travel, guess what? You won't make it. If you can travel with your game, that's really, and there's a lot of ways to learn how to do that. One, you got to be really good, but let's just assume you're already really good. What I always tell everybody is find somebody. It might be the guy in the cart barn or the girl in the cart barn. Who's the best player on the property that plays every day? Because a lot of times, head golf professionals
pick
not
their brain.
playing every day.
No.
And get with the superintendent and the person that plays every day and learn every crook and nanny before you get out there. That's how you learn how to play golf at a different golf course. You start there, take all your notes. They'll say on 13 over that pond, I'm telling you, it's one more club. It's not going to tell you it's one more club, but I'm telling you it's one more club, or it's
Right.
one less, or it doesn't really matter. And you start to learn there'll probably be about 7 to 10 things on a golf course that somebody plays all the time that they can help you with. So if you're playing competitive junior golf, you're playing college golf, you're playing tour golf, you go inside the clubhouse and find it could be a member, as long as they're, I'd say, a fairly decent player and they've played there all the time. They can help you. And that's one of the things I always tell my players. It's like just try to get in there and find as much knowledge about the golf course, and then you'll find that when you get out there that they're probably right. That's why they call it members bounces. They usually
Correct.
bounce the right direction
And
to
man,
keep
that's
them in front.
exactly how Kusher won that tournament in Mexico last year with that caddy. the local
That's
caddy.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That was an interesting story of its own, wasn't it? That was an interesting
He's
story.
still paying the price for that.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I want to bring up Prav here. I'm calling him Prav. That's his nickname for me. But you can take
Man, I'm gonna let you talk to him. It was your tournament,
okay,
so yeah.
that's fine. This is one of my longtime students. Prabna has been with me. How long have you been with me?
Like 6, 7 years.
Yeah, he was a little bitty boy, and he's a wonderful kid. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He took a lot of discipline. I watched him grow up, literally watched him grow up, and he's turning into a young man before he's actually a young man. But he just won our last tournament at Golf Club at Champion Circle there in Fort Worth, and so a little congrats for him on doing that. But he's made a lot of changes this year.
Yeah, I did.
And that was what I kind of forced him in. I usually don't go that direction, but I put some changes into him this year that I thought would help, and it kind of kicked him backwards. And I hate to say that word because I don't like to go like, oh, we'll go backwards and then go forwards. I like to just go forwards, but I kicked him back a little bit to get him to go forward because I've been with him. He'd been with me for so long, and then now the changes are paying off. And many props to you for doing what you did and winning that tournament. That was about a month ago, actually, before the year ended.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Like, like what I do.
You can tell us whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You're not going to mess
I've
up.
never really done this before.
Yeah, that's all
sorry.
right. You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us about your golf game. Tell us about
Yeah,
what
how'd
you
you
do.
get into golf?
Well, I didn't really get into golf the most traditional sense, I guess. Like most people would play, like get into golf like by their dads or like their like friend or whatever.
His
I
dad.
actually didn't. Yeah, he doesn't play golf actually.
Not yet.
Yeah, my dad
Not
actually
yet. Not
plays.
yet.
Not yet.
He can hit it though. He can
Yeah, he
hit
can
it.
hit fine
He can hit
actually. Yeah, he's playing pretty well with the broken leg. He can still hit pretty well.
it. Yeah, he's got a
Wow.
good swing.
Yeah. I guess how I got into it was just watching Tiger Woods on the
I've heard of
screen.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
That Woods guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also Tiger Woods and my uncle. My uncle played golf. Like I remember just as a kid, like being in the car and just dropping my uncle and my cousins off, and then I just watched them play, and I just sit in the car and do nothing. And I got
you
like,
watched,
kind of,
though.
yeah, I wanted to actually I wanted to see what it was all about. After coming off of tennis, like I decided I didn't want to play tennis anymore. So I just wanted to try and play golf. Once I got into it, really loved it. I just couldn't get enough of it. I just remember just going on the range and just hitting balls. I didn't really play. I felt like I wish I played more. Like if I played more, I think I'd be a better golfer now. But I think like after knowing what I know, I feel like it's really it's just really fun to play all the time.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah,
That's
one,
great.
one thing that's cool about Prov is that I got to watch, like I said, I got to watch him grow up and so forth. And he had some issues like we all have. Everybody has kind of the same. It's not the same, but they're different. But he had issues and so forth. And one of his was very shy and things like that. Like he would have never been up here, probably even 4 years ago, Dad, right? And now here he's fine. He's not worried. I put him in some pressure situations. There was things that I did from a coaching standpoint to put him in some situations that he hated. They were very. I always tell everybody, you got to learn to be uncomfortable. And in uncomfortable situations, become comfortable.
Right.
And if you can't do that, you ain't gonna make it. And when he figured that out, that's when he figured out like, all right, it'll be all right then. And but he's not shy anymore, and he stands up for himself. And I couldn't have a better student, you know. And he's one of my I probably run more juniors off than I keep. And the reason why I say that is because I teach a different. I don't really look at how many juniors I have in my program.
Right.
I want the best ones that can be in my program. They can make it. And when I have them, they win. They do well. And it's not because they're the best. It's because they can take it. And
Right.
and that's the way my coaches were. And I'm sure you kind of had that old school mentality as well.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's just.
So that
it's just
explains
something
why you
different.
walked away from me.
Yeah, I don't teach you.
Once.
You probably fired me anyway.
No, I wouldn't ever.
But
I was at the Dallas tournament that you won, and I was really proud of you and very proud of you representing Austin because the kids that you played against all were out there. That was their home course. They knew it really
Oh,
well.
wow.
They practiced out there every day.
Yeah.
Killed it, and I thought that was awesome.
Thank
How
you.
many hours a day do you practice, or what's your practice schedule look like?
How many hours a day? Well, usually I usually practice like every during the week, like usual work. Like we have an orange day and like a white day schedule for school golf. So every orange day we have 2 hours, right? Like so we have like at least 2 hours per day on orange day. But on the white day, I try and get out there and try and play actually. Even though like there's not much sunlight left, I do try and play and try and get out as many hours as possible. But usually, it doesn't always work out that way, and it doesn't always work. So I just try and practice my short game, like Matt would ask me to do, because I don't practice it enough. But on the weekends, yeah, that's where I get I get at least 18 always 18 holes on every single day. Or if not, I'll try for 36, like Matt would want me to.
yeah, we shoot for 100. You know, to be a Division I player, what we have, there's some little bit of data we have on it. And it's not from them. It is from them telling us and seeing what they do. But you gotta have talent, and you're dealing with that. But by the time you get done with all that, they play 100 holes a week, And some people go 100 holes a week, that's nothing. I was like, well, they'll play 100 holes in 3 days in the summer, so but it's 100 holes a week is what they play. And I can't tell you how many players that called me and said, hey, how do you get a tee into the ground when there's ice down there? I was like, why would you want to do that?
I remember that story. You told me that.
Yeah. It was Amanda. What was her name? She played at UCLA. She's a great player, but it was But they're always out there when conditions are bad and nasty. And like I said, you got to learn how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And if you can't do that, you won't make it because the game doesn't care. The game doesn't
Right.
care. It doesn't. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. The game doesn't care.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he scares me a lot.
No, I
that
don't.
phone call that he told me about 100 holes, I thought I was like, okay, that's a lot to take in.
That's what it is. But, and it all averages out. And then, it's more about the playing than it is the actual practice and then having a good routine and all that. We know that. But it was awesome to watch what you did and where you come from. And it's been a lot of fun. Me as a coach. Very cool.
Congrats.
And you guys play on the same team, right, Shock?
Yeah.
All right. You want to come up? Come on. Come on. Take it over.
Oh, you want me to-
Hey, no, you come on up. Over here. You take mine.
Right.
I'm leaving
Wait
Kelly
a
by-
minute.
I'm leaving Kelly by myself. I'll get out of the way.
This wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
What script?
So tell us about who you are, man.
So I'm Socksham. I go by Sox by a lot of people. When I first started getting into golf, I remember my dad just signed me up for a U.S. Kids tournament. I was crying. I did not want to play
Oh,
it because
man.
I was scared and everything.
Sure.
Shot 121 at Live Oak. First time ever.
You
Sixth grade.
finished.
Yeah, I finished.
You finished. That's good.
Yeah, it was great. And ever since then, I've just gotten better. Ever since I started with Matt about 2 years ago, he's really helped me with my swing and everything. And I first broke par for the first time over break, shot 68 at my home course, which was a great thing too.
That's great. Yeah. That's huge. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't have done it without Matt's help with all the swing and everything. Yeah,
Have you guys played the Wolf Dancer course that you guys practice at up there?
a long time ago. Actually, won my first U.S. Kids event there, shooting 94.
That a baby. Well, par's 80 there, so you're not far off. When I go out there, it's 80. So what's your favorite club in the bag? And
I
for you
think
too.
for now it's the 56 because Matt really helped me with the 50-yard wedge shot.
50.
It's
okay.
always hitting the 50 or 55-yard wedge shot. It always just gets every other club in the spot and gets me to hit every other club a lot better.
Perfect. How about you?
I'd say my 7-iron. I think
7-iron.
it's just the feeling. I like how the 7-iron just looks in my hand. I just
Yeah.
I don't know why I just like how it feels. Like whenever I hit, I feel like I always hit like an awesome shot. Whether I'm playing bad, whether I'm playing good, I feel like it's always gonna work for me. That's my go-to shot. Reliable.
That's good.
Yeah.
So where do you feel like golf's going to take you? Where you are now?
Not really
wanna
sure. Not sure
What
at
are
all.
your goals?
For now, I just play golf for fun.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But you can play it forever.
Yeah, it's something you can play forever. It's not like another sport when
Get
you hurt
better,
yourself.
right, and get better. How
You
about
can't
you?
play.
I mean, I want to play college golf. It's gonna take a lot more work than I'm putting in right now, but I think I can.
It's
get there.
competitive, but
It
yeah.
is competitive.
I think both of you can, for sure.
As
Thank
long as
you.
Matt keeps scaring me, I think I can get
If
there.
he keeps scaring you.
Yeah.
That's undecided, but I really want to play for A now, if that's possible.
Okay, we're going to have to end the telecast right now.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I also started experiencing a huge jump in my game ever since Matt really pushed me to go to the gym, doing all the workouts.
Get stronger.
Yeah, get stronger. Just keeps
Stretch
me in the
more.
groove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good that he's got you at the gym.
Yeah. It really had to push me to do some more workouts. And that really helped.
He should join you, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always
Matt
at
should
the
be
gym.
in the gym, too.
Yeah. He always sees me there at
Yeah,
the
you're
gym.
always at Lifetime. You're always at like after school. You're always just like.
I'm going to
I'm
the
gonna
gym.
Go to the gym with your dad.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, congrats, guys. Keep it going.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
You guys are getting taller than me, or I'm getting shorter. I think it's probably me getting shorter. All right, if it's okay, I'm going to invite Ray up for a little bit. Ray's one of the partners here, I believe. But MJ, my good friend.
Thanks, Matt. Great podcast. Really a pleasure to have you here, Kelly.
Surf and turf. I love that.
Surf and
brand.
turf.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to hear the juniors talk about golf. I picked up golf after 30. Believe me, I wish I had the privilege and the blessing you'll have to pick up this game at a young age. Yeah. But I got a 7 and 11-year-old girls, and what I tell them about golf is it is the one game you can play with dad until the day you die, or I die.
Correct.
Put it that way.
Correct.
It really is my dream scenario when I first started taking them to Jeff from Quillo and Twin Creeks, who is the pro over there, is that I want to travel with them and my wife anywhere we want in the world. We can play golf together, the four of us. And it is my perfect foursome.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
the truth is, golf has been a blessing in our life. It's fantastic. When I think about this allergy season, and I tell my wife, maybe we need to move, I can't leave the club.
Right.
There's the club first, and then there's the kids' school. I'm like, but we can sell the house,
Sure.
but I just cannot move because the social aspect of golf, the friendships, the commodity, the knowledge from all these different type of people. We all come from different backgrounds. It's fantastic. One of the things that I enjoy the most about golf is I read in a book. One of my favorite books is called "Golf Is Not a Game of Perfect." Which, Kelly, you probably know about that book.
Yep.
And it says, when I go to play golf, I'm going to go enjoy the surroundings and the people I'm playing with. What happens with the ball and the hole in the club, it's all, collateral. The main thing is what happened, and I'm enjoying the experience. So yesterday we played 18. We had lunch. I was ready to go home, and somebody says E9, and I was like, I'm right in. Let me send a quick text. But anyway, I'm so happy to hear you guys talk about golf. Your social part of how golf is affecting your social skills is fantastic. That is just, like I said, such a blessing. So very excited. Great podcast. This is really, really cool. I'm gonna encourage my other Twin Creeks fellows to listen to this podcast. It's really good.
Thank you.
Really enjoy it. And it's good to have the perspective from Kelly. Like I say, I always go to Wolf Dancer, and it's good to see what's going behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Sure.
How to make the whole thing look
Absolutely.
so great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate
Absolutely. In your Link Soul jacket.
it. Oh, yeah.
I like
thank
that
you.
too.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
recognize that, huh?
Yeah.
And to kind of touch up on one thing you just said about these young gentlemen, the first time I met them was when they showed up for the tournament today, and I was really impressed with the manners and how polite you guys were. It really means a lot. I mean, you handle yourself very well, very professional. You guys are doing a great job, and I'd like to think maybe the game of golf has a little bit to do with that. Obviously, parenting first and foremost, but you meet so many people, you're in different situations. It's great for you guys. You guys are doing fantastic. So I just want to mention that. I think it is really wonderful.
Congrats to you. That's awesome.
Yep.
And the fear factor from Matt, I guess, too. I
don't know how
I
that
learned
got-
about that.
How can that scare
I learned about
anybody?
that, right.
Uncle Matt.
It's just a big bear.
Oh, my
It's a
God.
little bear.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions before we start to wrap this thing up? Any questions, comments,
I
anything?
thought for the next 2 hours we go over the rule changes and go.
That's on you. That's on you. I'll sit in the audience and listen.
24 hours.
Oh,
True.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
No, don't
I-
start him up. Don't start him
yeah.
up.
I just wish the USGA would ask everybody
Yeah.
before they decide to make a change.
Yes. For sure.
Yep.
Ridiculous. That's all I got.
All right. And that's it on that note. Matt, anything else you want to add?
No, man, just it's an honor, really. Some of you know Kelly, some of you don't, but there's a lot around here that do, and he's a very good friend to me, and very thankful for our friendship, but also allowing my company, Elite Golf Forms, to be at the Wolf Dancer on the property. It was a very big deal for us. I mean, I'd really appreciate it, but also, besides all that stuff, doesn't matter. I just appreciate Kelly and his service to the game.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
So I have to give you $5 later as well. Thank you.
I was thinking 10, but that must have been a little low.
No, it's been a joy too to be with both of you guys and everybody here. It's a pleasure. Like my wife says, wow, you're going to talk about golf? How unusual. What is my life? But, I couldn't do anything else, really. I just love it.
Yep. Well, fantastic. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you all very much for coming out today. Kelly, again, thank you very much
Pleasure.
for being here.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Absolutely.
One last thing, because these guys want to do it, but first of all, Jesse and Robbie drove up first thing this morning. They had to get a bunch of equipment, load up. They worked all night last night in the pro shop doing flooring, and they could tell you all about it. But it's been a very long week, is all I can say. And they loaded up to come here to Austin, Texas, to be with us. And Jesse he's a longtime golf pro, over 20 years of experience. Robbie started with he does all the marketing, social media there at Fort Worth at the Marriott, but also the Golf Club of Champions. And he always is in the back, but he's the guy that he makes a
The
lot
puppet
of things
master.
happen. He's a good guy. He's a wonderful guy.
That's right.
And very lucky and thankful for you guys coming
Yep.
up.
I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. And look out. We're going to keep the podcast coming with the Elite Golf Podcast, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.